Greetings, Collective Coven. This is Trey, aka at Taboo Tarot Reader, and welcome to your December 2023 I Ching Oracle reading. In order to propose a query to the sacred Chinese oracle, what message does the Collective Coven have a need to know in order to navigate Sagittarius season as it transitions into Capricorn season? So if this is something that interests you, welcome. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today as we approach the month of December 2023 according to the Gregorian calendar. Spirit, what advice does the sacred I Ching Oracle have for the Collective Coven, all humans and all signs and all placements, in order to manifest optimal outcomes, in order to respond to change in the ever constant changing universe? Spirit, please help us be a pure and accurate channel to receive. Okay. We will end this I Ching Oracle reading be working, as always, with the I Ching Oracle deck as designed by Klaus Politska. A beautiful deck that really encapsulates the wisdom of the Tao, the yin-yang symbol. Just had a full moon in Gemini. Felt very messy. Like a hot mess express. For me personally. Felt too, Gemini being an air sign, I noticed and observed within myself a lot of thought patterns, overthinking, overanalyzing. That was just my personal experience with the full moon in Gemini. Which is the polarity sign or polarity pair with Sagittarius, as the sun is currently transiting through the mutable fire sign Sagittarius, as ruled by Jupiter, symbolized by the Temperance major arcana in the tarot. If you are interested to learn more about the different correspondences between I Ching hexagrams, tarot cards, and astrology, planetary energies, check out the Taboo Tarot deck and the accompanying guidebook, Astrology for Divination, which is not a traditional handbook, but a 444-page deep dive into how to interpret your birth chart intuitively on my website in the ebook store for Taboo Tarot Reader. Such a beautiful day today. The birds are singing. Despite the atrocities and the horrors that are unfolding with ecocide and 8 genocide, but let's just see what messages pop out. And I feel now, given this critical tipping point on planet Earth, as decolonization movements and liberation movements for BIPOC and queer people pick up steam, now more than ever, sacred I Ching, we truly are in need of your wisdom. What is the message? As we head into a very challenging time in the colonial calendar of Christmas. I Ching number 62. So let's get a good look at that image first before we read the accompanying passage from the Book of Changes to intuitively just get a feel for this hexagram. Beautiful artwork in this deck. As always, working with the Wilhelm translation of the Book of Changes, which, keep in mind, was originally in the German and translated into English. But let's see, I Ching hexagram number 62. Cool. I believe that's the Chinese pronunciation, which translate. Forgive my pronunciation. It's been a hot minute since my Mandarin days, since my Mandarin classes. Cool. Preponderance of the small. Well, it's not the size that matters, but how you use it, right? But in this hexagram, the trigram, or the 3 lines of code below, are the trigram for the mountain element, and the trigram above the 3 lines of code, for remember we read hexagrams from bottom to top, is the trigram for thunder, the arousing. So we have here again the elemental combination of mountain, keeping still, and on top, thunder, the arousing. So just feel intuitively into that combination of elements within the 8-element I Ching system. Preponderance of the small. Ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. I don't know why I just felt that song come to me. If you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far. The judgment is thus. Preponderance of the small. Success. Perseverance furthers. Small things may be done. Great things should not be done. The flying bird brings the message. It is not well to strive upward. It is well to remain below. Great good fortune. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I personally love to get down and dirty in the muck. In the mud. Want to get a little dirty. The image is thus. Thunder on the mountain. The image of preponderance of the small. Thus in his conduct, the superior man gives preponderance to reverence. In bereavement, he gives preponderance to grief. In his expenditures, he gives preponderance to thrift. I'm just sensing, intuitively with this message that, and given the context of what's going on in Palestine, genocide, what's going on in the Congo, the Sudan, Haiti, Yemen. And as we observe and witness how these patriarchal colonial power structures are literally dissolving before our eyes, to allow yourself to sit with that grief in order to transmute it and decolonize in small ways. I think sometimes it feels overwhelming when you do the decolonization shadow work. And we want to obviously go out and protest and rally and take part in really big demonstrations. But I'm sensing here a preponderance of the small. The decolonization work is every day in small, meaningful ways. It is about being mindful about what you wear to show solidarity. It's being mindful about what you do and say with coworkers, family, friends, in order to make them conscious of their blind spots, their privilege. That shadow work is, again, something that is very difficult to undertake and very overwhelming. And I truly feel that with preponderance of the small here, this is a message to remember that, again, sometimes even just an anonymous act of kindness is so powerful to transmute energy. Leaving a piece of bread for a homeless person and not needing that acknowledgement of that small act of kindness. This is what I'm seeing and sensing. What we don't see coming at the bottom of the deck is I Ching number 29. Is this the Abysmal? Yes, it is. Water element clearly here. So the way I read the accompanying lines of advice is by obviously comparing two hexagrams. But let's first read the judgment for I Ching number 29 before we read the lines of advice. Yep, 29, I Ching hexagram 29, the Abysmal, which is the double water element. You can see here the trigram for water is repeating twice. Interesting, since Sagittarius season is upon us, a fire sign, we have that, perhaps that sacred duality of the fire-water polarity being invoked here. But the judgment for the Abysmal is thus: the Abysmal repeated. If you are sincere, you have success in your heart, and whatever you do succeeds. The image is thus: water flows on uninterruptedly and reaches its goal. The image of the Abysmal repeated. Thus, the superior man walks in lasting virtue and carries on the business of teaching. Yep, that definitely resonates with everything I was sensing. Thank you, Spirit. Ooh, let's do that again. Ooh. Let's put her here. Forgive the slight interruption. Okay. Let's read the lines of advice before I give my intuitive interpretations. So, for this combination of cards, we will, let's see, what lines are unbroken versus broken. Lines 1, okay, we would read line 2. Line 3, 4, and 5. Yes. For my memory, lines 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the lines of advice. Lines 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's easy enough to remember. Okay, second line. The advice is thus. From, again, the original hexagram, number 62. She passes by her ancestor and meets her ancestress. Decolonize now, matriarchy now. Whew. Forgive the interruption. He does not reach his prince and meets the official. No blame. The third line of advice is thus. If one is not extremely careful, somebody may come up from behind and strike him. Misfortune. Look out from them trifling troglodytes and tricks. Maybe some incubus, succubus shit, who knows? The fourth line of advice is thus. No blame. He meets him without passing by. Going brings danger. One must be on guard. Do not act. Be constantly persevering. And the fifth line of advice is thus. Dense clouds. No rain from our western territory. The prince shoots and hits him who is in the cave. Well, that seems to connect quite nicely with, again, the water element being repeated here twice in hexagram number 29, the Abysmal. So just sit with that advice, meditate with that. Obviously, the I Ching Book of Changes is open to interpretation. What I'm sensing here personally, again, in the context of this critical tipping point on planet Earth as we head into 2024, sometimes you just need to sit back and watch how the cards fall. Watch how the house of sand crumbles. Because colonial patriarchy is clearly dying. That old geezer, right, with their shriveled old ball sack, is clearly on its way out. Hex the patriarchy. And it seems that with this message, these, again, 2 hexagrams, number 29 and 62, that we can find solace in our grief, knowing that the end is inevitable, knowing that we are literally witnessing patriarchy crash and burn right now, because there's a lot of talk online about free Palestine, but I personally feel the reality that we are becoming aware of after decades and decades of brainwashing propaganda is that Palestinians have freed the world. Palestinians have liberated our own consciousness to perceive the truth. And with that being said, I just feel, again, this advice is really relevant for what's going on. So thank you so much to the sacred I Ching Book of Changes, the elevated ancestors who received this wisdom and codified it in the 64 hexagram system, which corresponds to the 64 codons of human DNA. Again, thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. I hope that these messages resonate with you. Again, my name is Trey, aka @Taboo Tarot Reader. And stay strong. And remember that change is inevitable. Persevere.